time.
You ready? Good morning.
Morning.
Today is meeting number 162 of TMG the Mac Group. And we don't have Mr. Cobb today. His youngest daughter graduated from high school last Monday, and he has some other family obligations going on this weekend with his older daughter and the younger daughter. So that's why he's not here today. So we're going to just forge ahead without him. If there is a irate group of users that absolutely positively have to have the Mac Clinic, raise your hands, in which case I'll ask Dr. Aronson to run a Mac Clinic. Otherwise, we'll just go with the main presentation. And I don't see any irate people with torches or pitchforks. Okay, very good. We don't have any new members today. We don't have any guests today, so we won't do the welcome. Agenda, we're going to, for our main presentation, you get me imposing upon you again. I'll be doing a presentation on email. It's a different presentation than the one that I announced. When I did a preview of my presentation to my mother-in-law, she said, nobody's going to understand what you're talking about. You need to bring it down a little bit. And she was right. So I've made it a more appropriate presentation for folks. So we won't be going into the innards of POP and IMAP in server configuration. Okay, let's see. So that's the agenda. News. Do we have any news from the members? Anybody have any announcements they want to make? No announcements. Okay. And I'll move on to the next thing. I have one announcement, and this I do every June. I remind you there is no meeting in July or August. So if you come here in July and August, you will not find me. Unless, of course, I forget to show up. All right, so we don't have any announcements. For sale or wanted.
You want me to do my
other
want me to do my thing now? You want me to do mine?
Why don't you come run it?
Okay. How many of you are familiar with what the Automator is, or AppleScript? All right. This past month, I had something that I wanted to automate. I wanted to, I had to resize pictures to go into my PDA, and I had a bunch of these. I didn't want to have to be doing them, one by one. So I was going to automate this process. So I saw Automator, and I thought I would try to build an Automator flow to do this. So I went out on the internet to see. Well, Automator is pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward, but I want to see if there's any books or any information out there on it. And the only thing I could find, well, the first thing I found was this guy, Ben Waldy, has this book, Automator, Master in the OS Tiger. And he's got a web page. So I went to his web page and found out that he has this book. It's $14.95. It's through a company called Spiderworks. And he also has another book. It's called Scripting the Finder, which talks about AppleScript. And on his web page, Spiderworks is not his web page. His web page is actually, this is a company that actually is selling his book. But he there's a tab on his homepage that talks about user groups. So I clicked on it and went to it, and he says he makes presentations to users groups. So I sent him an email and asked him if he'd be willing to make a presentation to us if we had enough interest in Automator or AppleScript. The guy's in Philadelphia, so it's not like he's over in Columbus or just next door, short drive. And he answered me back, said yes, he does do these presentations, but he doesn't get over to Dayton that often. But he asked me, how close is Dayton to Columbus? And I said, well, that's just a short drive, 60 to 70 miles. So he said he's got a client that's in Columbus, and he comes over here every so often. So he said he'd be willing to make a presentation to the group on AppleScript or Automator if there's interest. So I don't know, are people interested in getting a discussion on, so this guy owns this little company that he does consulting with different companies. But this is an example of the table of contents. We've got these they're e-books, so they're online books. You go to this website and you download them. He did send us a copy gratis, which we're going to put into our library, and hopefully we'll get it out. There's both the Automator book and the AppleScript book. And I'm going to work with him. This is a picture of him. His company is Automated Workflows. And I'm going to work with him over the summer to see when he might be available, maybe next fall. If he's going to be coming over to Columbus, and I'll run over and get him or whatever. And this is an example of the AppleScripting book. It's only $9.95. And this is an example of one of the pages out of it. It's very straightforward, easy to read. It's a very easy read. It's at the basic level.
Why not have a teleconference, have them do it, if we can't get them to come here in person, set up something with Front Row or something of that nature so that we could do it electronically?
That's another possibility.
Maybe try that. Yeah, we can try that, but like I said, if he's going to be coming over in person anyway, and he's willing to
We've got it in
do
person, but if we can't get to arrange it, I mean, we've got all this technology that we've been involved with. One of the things that Apple has is Frontline, conferencing, so we could set something with that way.
So if there's interest, I'll go ahead and let him know, and hopefully he'll come in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, can I go ahead to For Sale and Wanted? For Sale and Wanted, do we have people with things for sale or wanted? I'm going to start with the front, Mr. Howe.
I have two full versions of Adobe Creative Suite. The first one, sealed boxes, one for Mac and one for Windows, if anybody's interested.
How much?
What's for-
600,
Okay.
which is about half price.
Mr. Peter.
I have an Epson scanner with a SCSI interface, 600 DPI. I have it right here, if anybody's interested.
Anybody else? Anything else? Yes, Chuck.
I'd like to get a hold of some SCSI disk drives for an old,
What do you mean?
What size? Are we talking?
I
Zip
need
drive, disk?
SCSI, I guess internal.
Oh, internal, okay. Okay.
Something in the neighborhood above 4 gigabytes,
Oh, yeah.
or
Not hard to
something that would go into a 50-pin SCSI bus.
I'll look and see. I've got 3 of them sitting on my desk, gathering dust. I'm not sure whether they're SCSIs or APAs, but I'll look.
Okay. Anybody else? Jim? Come on, every month? No?
Actually, the blue and white that I had for sale last time, my dad's using it, so
Okay.
it might be just as well.
Well, that's
to
good.
sell.
You gotta take care of it.
Did you find out if that's a G3 or G4?
I did not investigate it more, but I think I'm going to believe Profiler that it's a 4.
Yeah.
I think that was a prototype machine, or they didn't have the G4 cases designed yet, and they just slapped in a G3 case. Okay, yes?
I have a PowerBook G4 that can't be upgraded, and I'm willing to sell it cheap, and anybody can see me after.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm not quite sure, cheap, that's
Yeah.
sort of. See him at the break, and then tell me how cheap is cheap. Okay, do we have anybody else? Okay, nothing else for sale or for wanted, let's see, help desk. Giving or taking help?
Actually, I do need some help. I have doing a PowerPoint presentation on it'll be on a PC, because that's all I have at work. And of course, I've written a PowerPoint presentation on a Mac. So the problem is, when you convert a video clip to work on a format for a PC, I don't know what format it should be in. And of course, the Microsoft scripting isn't very helpful. It is when it comes to looking at standard static clips, but not when it comes to movie clips.
MPEGs don't work?
It won't run the present movie clip now.
How about a .mov?
Pardon?
MOV?
MOV? It doesn't like the format. I suppose I could try MOV and see what happens. Okay.
Okay, anybody else? Let's still with.
Oh, one other thing on that, there is that, there's a, can't remember, just lost me. There's a software out there that converts Windows media files to QuickTime for the Mac,
But you can't go the other way, can you?
but I think in their professional version, you can go the other direction. You might check, what, do you remember the name of that thing? It's, it'll come to me.
Handbrake?
No,
The,
yeah, it's
the company.
something for,
Flip
something.
for Mac.
Flip for Mac, that's it.
There we go.
What is it?
Flip for Mac. The freebie will open up Windows Media Video for in QuickTime files. But I think the professional version, you can go both directions, but it's not compatible with an Intel machine yet.
Yeah. That's right, Art
Quick
doesn't have an
for-
Intel
Okay.
machine
Quick
yet.
format.
Flip,
Flip format.
Flip Wilson, Flip for Mac.
Yeah.
It's a plugin.
It was the
Yeah.
one that was released when Microsoft said they weren't going to do Windows Media Player anymore for the Macintosh. But as a consolation, this other company would provide this plugin.
So when you
free.
go to a website and you find the WMV file, it automatically becomes a QuickTime file with this plugin. But I think the software that you buy, depending, the professional version, which is $40 or $50, $60, will do complete.
The other thing I'd recommend is go to Version Tracker, and instead of clicking on Mac OS X, click on Windows,
Yeah.
and do a search and see what's out there on the Windows side.
Yeah,
That might be able to convert it for you.
the problem is I have to convert it before it hits the Windows machine. I can't have the software on the Windows machine.
Oh,
VA is-
because
VA
it,
is
oh,
really
okay,
technical
okay,
about putting
it's
stuff on
government
there.
equipment, I hear you. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay. Yes?
I just caught the Apple homepage today, and I noticed the first segment talked about ArchCAD, and I didn't have time to read about it. I wonder if anybody ever heard of it. I assume it's something
That's a
like-
product that's been around for quite a few years. It was an original, one of the original products that was released for Macintosh back in 1984, 1985. It's ArchiCAD, I believe is the one you're talking about, and it's a computer-aided design program. There was a architecture firm in Cincinnati that used it rather extensively for many, many years before they moved to AutoCAD. It all depends on what you want to do. I mean, what do you want to design?
Just two-dimensional plans.
Two-dimensional plans?
Yeah.
Okay. You might want to look at the Omni products, OmniGraffle, OmniDesigner. Those are products that come bundled with many of the Macintoshes, third-party software. And I use them quite a lot for doing sort of stuff I do in Visio on a Windows machine. You know, if I have an org chart or I've got, you know, a room layout I want to do, that's what I normally use.
Omnipad?
OmniGraffle. I may even have it on this machine here today. And I'll look real quick here. This is it. OmniGraffle. And you have a grid and you lay out your stuff. And they have all sorts of templates available from their website. And that company is OmniGraffle.
Their company is.
I thought I selected it here.
You did.
Maybe I have to close the template first. There we go, it was hidden behind. The Omni Group, and their website is, just do www.omnigroup.com. And they make some really nice products. I've been very, very impressed by their stuff. Now, if you're just doing layouts, you know, like room designs or, you know, I do garden plots, you know. What color peony is where, so that I know where not to dig. OmniGraffle's a nice little program for doing that sort of stuff. And they have,
On the outliner by this group is
Yeah.
great. On the graphic was included with all the Pro machines. I don't know if it still is.
yeah. Okay, next person. Yes?
I don't know if you're going to talk about about the emails. I had two questions about the different emails, and I don't know how.
Give me a clue on what we're,
Okay,
what the,
one is when I send emails, I go to put an address in, and the first letter I hit, I come up with 4 or 5 different combinations of names.
Okay,
And I don't want that. And
Okay.
I want to know how to get rid of those other
okay. Which email client are you using?
Yahoo.
Say again?
Yahoo?
Yahoo? Okay, so you're using a web client to go to Yahoo. Okay, maybe if we have time in the demonstration, we'll go out to Yahoo and see if I can find where you turn that off.
Okay, and the other email
Oh.
one was...
You already know
I've got
where
an
it
answer
is?
on that one. It's not a Yahoo feature, it's a Safari feature.
Okay.
It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's basically their autofill. And basically, if you're trying to fill in any form on a website, what it does, it starts pulling in things you entered in the past. There's a way in Safari to delete what you've already autofilled, and there's a way to delete just the ones that you've autofilled from a particular
Okay.
site.
So I'm bringing Safari up right now. Would it be in Preferences?
I believe so.
Preferences,
Um,
Autofill.
Autofill forms, using info from an address, other forms, you hit edit next to other forms, you will see the website you've entered information on, and what you can do is click that site and say remove all, and that basically resets all the things you've autofilled on that particular site. Now, every once in a while, it'll start doing it, again, because it's caching what you've, whatever, anything I've filled in.
But you can turn off autofill completely, which is what I
You can
normally
turn off
do.
autofill completely as well, if that's something you want to use, but you can't, I don't think you can restrict it for a particular site.
I'm gonna back up for a minute and show you where I went again, so you got it. Done. Okay, first I launched Safari, okay. Then I went to the menu bar and I went to the Safari command line, and I went to Preferences.
Okay.
And Preferences came up, and I clicked on this one, Autofill.
Okay.
And then Other Forms. I clicked on that, and then I got this drop down.
Okay. That would take care of
And
that.
usually what I do is I have this turned off on my work machines because, again, it's not a government machine, but we try not to put anything on it that,
The other one was,
Yes.
when I send pictures through JPEG, some people see them as thumbnails. How do you enlarge a thumbnail, or how can you not send it as a thumbnail? Say on
Are they on a Macintosh or are they on a Windows machine?
On what? Mac?
What kind of machine are they using at the other end?
Mac, we are Mac.
They're on iMac.
How are you sending the picture?
How do
Are you using mail program to send it?
The email, the rough attachments?
The little stamp in the dock, are you in 10?
No.
Oh, you're not in 10, okay.
Could be the form.
Make sure your pictures have a .jpg after them,
Right.
okay?
And that should come out in full size then?
Could also kind of emails being made as an RTF or
Yeah.
plain text attachment or.
Well, what I do is I just hit attachment, and then it comes up with it wants you to name the attachment that you put in. Browse.
No, it doesn't automatically name it when you select the file you want to send.
No. You just have to,
You're,
you
you're,
have to put the name.
you're using Yahoo to do your email, right? And you're
Right.
using Safari to go to Yahoo?
Right,
Okay.
Oh, so you are in 10.
right.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
What I would recommend if you're doing Yahoo webmail is don't use Safari as your web browser for that. Use Firefox or one of the others, because there are some problems with how the little whiz-bangs on the Yahoo site work with Safari, but they work very well with Firefox.
There might be a little blue line at the top that says this file, when the receiver hasn't gotten all of it. You click on that, and that will get you the whole thing, because sometimes someone will send me something, and it'll be very large, and I won't get it all. I'll go to click on the attachment, only half the attachment will be there. The reason is because it needs to know that it's receiving a bigger file, that's all.
Okay.
The receiver has
So there'll be a little blue line on the receiving thing saying you want the whole message or something like that. And you click on that, and you'll have the whole attachment as well.
That's
Do you
the
know,
person that
do you
sent
know
it.
which mail client they're using on their end?
Pardon?
Do you know what application program they're using to collect their email on the other end?
And
Say again?
You mean 10?
No.
The people that you're sending it to that are having trouble
He
receiving the,
sends it to me,
okay.
What are you using for your email?
Yahoo.
Okay, because what there was, okay, I'm working off of memory, which is always problematic, but I seem to recall that there was a setting when we first started using Yahoo Webmail where it'll give you a preview of the thing first, and then there's something you have to click on to get the actual thing to come down.
Yeah.
Because it may be said that it doesn't download the full file until you actually say, download this file.
They set those up because sometimes what happens is people get like, they send big files across and people are worried about that. So typically the browser has a way of saying, we're not sure, check it out first to make sure that you want the whole thing sent because there's a lot of information. So there may be a catch on it.
We had trouble getting, JPEGs, and I have saved it to Yahoo Mail Photos, or Yahoo Photos. It's part of the Yahoo system. And once it's in Yahoo Photos, then I can do anything with what I want. But taking it off of the email,
Now that's
it
interesting.
didn't work.
Because what happens when you migrate a picture from your regular email account in Yahoo over to Yahoo Photos, it does a security check on it to make sure it's not one of these bogus, it's not really a JPEG, it's an executable. So once it does that, then it verifies it's actually a picture and makes it available to you. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what's going on too. Maybe a security filter that's set up. Okay, in any case, we're going to move on. Who else? Anybody else? We're going to do Jim and then we're going to do Dan.
I think in relation to Safari, I have a question about it's becoming bloated, like after hours and hours or a day or two of browsing without running Safari. I notice sometimes the application can be using maybe 60, 80, or 100 meg of system memory. Is it to become that bloated sometimes?
You will get memory artifacts going on. What browser or what program are we
Using 1039 and
Yeah, and what applications do you see it with the most?
really just Safari. Sometimes I'll be browsing and it'll just come to a halt.
What I do is clear my cache frequently,
Yeah.
because I found the same thing.
Have you ever run Applejack to clean out all of your old cache files, or do you periodically clean out your cache files?
I've done that once, about a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and it might have been. Because I don't know if I did it.
Periodically, if you're using Safari, you want to go to your Safari menu and do the empty cache, and let it just empty that stuff out.
Is there a setting in Safari you can limit the amount of size of the cache?
Not that I remember. There are in Firefox and in Opera. Well, let's see. Preferences.
Go to Advanced.
Go to Advanced?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't see it there. Let's try General. Nope. Let's try Appearance. Nope. Nope, I'm not seeing it for, let's try security. No. I don't think there is one in Safari. It's supposed to dynamically, it's KTHL engine, and it's supposed to dynamically do this stuff itself, and it doesn't.
Well, I'm not sure why yours is doing it. On ours, if we go to Preferences and hit the Advanced, it comes up and the history shows up. Maybe yours you have to use history.
It could be we got
You
different
can delete
versions.
all. It says that you can delete all, and it streams it all out too.
Could be we have different versions. This is a Tiger machine. Okay, Dan.
On that virus checking program,
Plan XAV.
yes, when it says to put it in any folder,
Typically, you want to put in the applications folder.
in the applications, then it says what volumes you want to check, etc.
with Clam AV, you do not want to check your entire hard drive.
Yes, it objects to that.
It objects to it most strenuously, most rigorously.
So what should be checked?
What you want to check is typically your user folder. Okay, so let's see if I have it up on this machine. I may not. That's okay, we'll download it real quick.
Does that Clam XV, does that work on any particular OS?
Clam XAV has versions that work under Windows, under Linux, under various distributions of mainline Unix.
The one that came out on the CD, when I tried to load that on a 10.2.8 system,
You'd have to go out to the website and you'd have to download one of the older
because
versions.
it just came up, it bounced up and then went away. So I have
Yeah, because the one we distributed was 10.3 and above, if I remember correctly.
What's Clam supposed to do again?
It's an antivirus scanning program. Clam AV stands for Command Line Antivirus Mail. It was meant for use on large mail servers on the internet that, think of it not, an individual's machine, but rather this is one of the boxes sitting on the internet that's moving the mail back and forth, where you have hundreds of thousands of emails going through and you don't have a whole lot of time to scan stuff. So it's a very, very parsimonious program. It uses just a little bit of CPU cycles, but it's very efficient in how it scans stuff. Clam XAV. And here we go. Download 103. Yeah, I want the English one. Now, Clam XAV is a graphic user interface. So it's written to work in Mac OS X, but it's talking to the real Clam AV, which is the Unix engine. Clam AV, the Unix engine, is one of these open source software projects. And these guys have been running for about 15, 12 years, something like that. So they've really honed this thing over the years. Clam XAV gives you a Macintosh interface that sends all the commands that you would normally do in terminal if you were a Unix geek.
I installed that a couple of OS versions ago, and it created a user called Clam on my computer. I went into my profiles one time, user profiles.
That should not have.
And all of a sudden I see a second user and it was Clam AV. I'm not sure.
You're sure you weren't in Activity Monitor and it was a
No,
process?
this is, I went into preferences in the users and, it had my, administrator and then it had a Clam.
It shouldn't be creating anything like that.
And the only way I couldn't even delete it, the only way I could do it is do a complete reinstall. Get it out of there.
While it's downloading, we'll move on forward. But anyway, short answer, you want to select your user folder, and by that I don't mean just your user folder, but rather, let me do a thing here. Okay, so I double clicked on my hard drive, and here's the standard folders that you see inside. And the one you would select would be this one, the folder that contains all of the different users. Because if you're going to scan it, you might as well be scanning your personal files and the other files that the other folks have on the computer. Because typically that's where downloads are going to end up.
But put it first into the applications.
Correct.
Now, if you want to get rid of it, can you just drag it to the trash and dump it, or do you have to go through some exotic?
No, you can drag it to the trash and dump it.
So you don't have to go through an exotic?
You don't have to, but it's better if you do use the uninstaller, because it will pull out all of those Unix engine things that are there.
Okay, but the uninstaller says if you use something to install.
Okay, well, let's wait, let's get the package down here and then we'll
Now,
We're
do you-
getting
You need
close.
to update this periodically for you?
yeah.
One of the things that's very nice about ClamXAV, the interface, is you can have it so that whenever you launch ClamXAV, it automatically checks for virus definition updates, for new versions of the Unix engine, and new versions of the Macintosh graphic user interface. So it's a slick little thing because, you know, we forget. I mean, how many of us go out, you know, wake up in the morning and go, oh, I have to update my virus definitions. It just doesn't happen that way. That's why I like programs that automatically download this stuff, as long as it's a secure product, you know, if it's something you can rely on. And we're getting closer here. 54
Bill?
seconds, it says. Yes?
I was actually just listening to a podcast, Mac Attack, this past week, I think, where somebody sent in a comment about a program, I want to say it might have been like Safari Cache Cleaner or something like that. I'll follow up on it, try and find out. It actually had the Clam engine built into it as well. So it was an application that did a lot of several things, but also had the antivirus built into it. Kind of cool.
Well, it's downloading. I might as well go to the other place. I'm just going to go to, instead of ClamXAV, just plain old ClamAV. And I'm going to go out to their project news.
What's the difference?
This is the homepage for the open source project, Clam Antivirus. And they have all the information about who's been involved with this, who updates the virus database, how to submit samples to it, how to download, what OSs are supported. And that URL is www.clamav.net. So if you're interested in antivirus protection for your Linux machines or your Windows machines and you want to try this product, this is the page where you would go. And let's see, let's see, who's using it? Yeah, let's try downloads. So the latest one released, the latest engine that was released was April 29th, 2006. The virus definitions, there's been some days where it looks like they're updating them every 2 to 3 hours. Because it's also used for Unix and Linux and Windows machines, you need to update this stuff almost that often sometimes. If you have an email server, if you're running Exchange server at your company, you want to be doing updates on your virus definitions at least twice a day. So anyway, let me go back a minute, back to menu. I'm looking for where they've got the different, let's go to who's using it. That might give us a, so, Mac OS X server, ClamAV, not the ClamXAV, not the GUI from the guy in the UK, but the actual engine is built into Mac OS X server. If you're doing Linux stuff, you might want to go to linux.org and take a look at what they've got. If you're doing IBM AIX, that's the website to go to. So anyway, many different operating systems this stuff will protect. But the reason why you don't have ClamXAV for Apple servers is because it doesn't work with Macintosh server yet. Okay, now, let me do a save on this one, and then I want to go back to my client. Yeah, just save it. Window, downloads. There we go. Show it to me. Okay, so this is ClamXAV. It's in a disk image. That's what the .dmg stands for. When I double click it, my installer package is going to open it up. I'm just going to close a couple of these windows here so we have a little less complicated situation. So when you click on a DMG, you end up with a virtual volume appearing on your desktop, and the window that's there is what's in that window, in that desktop. You have a remove engine application, so that's to remove the CLAM AV stuff if you want to take it out. And the CLAM XAV, I should have dragged it to my hard drive first. My apologies.
But isn't that remover something about only if you use something to install it?
Authenticate. It's if you've used Terminal to install it. I gotta remember
But if I
the
want to get
password
rid of
here.
it, I could just use the uninstall and
If you just drag it to the trash, you're pretty much where you want to be.
Bill, what was that thing you just did? That pops up on my computer a lot. What-
Okay, you're talking about,
They want to know your password.
Administrator.
Oh,
okay.
What in the world is that?
Different kind of user accounts. You have standard user accounts, and you have users that have administration rights. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Because of the things that, I want to make sure I say this correctly. We've gotten used to, in the Macintosh world, to downloading things from the internet without having to really worry about it too much. So what Apple has done in the last several versions of their operating system is make it so that when you download something and you're going to be modifying your applications folder or you're going to be modifying a framework or whatever, it asks you to authenticate. In other words, put in the name of an administration account and the password for that account. Because this is Apple's way of telling you you're doing something that you need to make sure you know what you're doing. You don't want to just be installing stuff without knowing what you're installing. And so whenever it's making a modification that's significant to your operating system or to a folder like the applications folder, it's going to ask you for permission.
Well, how are you supposed to set that up? I mean,
I think you are the only one on.
What you would do is go into your system preferences if you're in Mac OS X and go to your accounts. And when you look at that list of accounts, you'll notice that there are 2 accounts on this machine. The first one is William Herrick, and it's the little butterfly. That's a standard account. It does not have admin rights. The other account, Admin H, is an administrator account. That one can modify. So I typically run in a standard account so that if I download something, I'm always prompted to authenticate to make a modification. That's to remind me, do I know what I'm doing? Is this something that I really want to install? Is it from a safe source, or is this something else going on?
okay.
Because I would remind you, over in the Windows world, there are downloads that can come onto your machine that just start installing stuff, and you don't even know it's doing it. That's what spyware is all about over on the Microsoft operating systems.
Okay.
When you
That
first
doesn't ever
install
happen on this
10,
side there?
and you typed in your name and you typed in the password, that's what it's
They
asking.
keep-
That's typically your admin account.
And if you've never added another account, whatever name and password you put in is the administrator's account.
Now, I will say one other thing, and that is you want to have 2 admin accounts on your machine. That's so if one of them goes bad, you can still get into your computer.
Oops.
Okay.
Do you remember what password you put in when you first installed the software?
I'm not sure. I have one.
If
I
you
can
never
try.
put one in, you can do the install, and if it comes up and asks you your name and you never put in a password, just hit OK and it'll go on right through.
Okay.
But if you did put in a password, you'll have to remember what that was.
Okay. Now, I'm getting ready to install CLAM AV. So I'm going to say install. It's going to ask me where, after I read some stuff. Continue. continue, agree. Now I gotta wait while it looks. Okay. And I've chosen to install it on the Macintosh hard drive. Continue. It's going to do a basic installation. Again, because I'm installing stuff, the Macintosh operating system says, hey, you're installing stuff, you have to authenticate. You have to say, yes, this is something it should be doing. And it just installed the GUI, and now it's installing the scanning engine, and now we can run it.
Well, where was it? Where did it install? At the root
The
level?
default was the applications folder.
Oh.
Bill, which icon did you click on to start the installation? Because one of them says just.
Okay, what I did was, step 1, download ClamXAV. Step 2, double click on the DMG so I get that virtual volume. Step 3, when the virtual volume is open, I click on my little chiclet so I get my sidebar, because I'm lazy, you know. I don't want to have to open 2 windows. And I drag it into my applications folder. So once I've got it there, that was step 3. Somebody keeping count here? Okay, step 4 is I go to my application folder where I just put ClamXAV, and then I double click it and I install it. I let it do its installation at that point. Click already donated. Okay, and it's installed at that point. Okay, it'll install the engine, and then you run it a second time and you're ready to go. Now, with this interface, first thing, choose what to scan. I click the button, I go back to my Macintosh hard drive, I click on users. So it will scan anything in my shared folder, the William Herrick folder, and the admin H folder. So it'll scan anything that's in those user folders. So that's what I've got set now. Second button down here where it says Start Scan, if I click that, it'll start to do a virus scan. We don't have time for that right now. But the one right next to it, Update Virus Definitions, if you have an internet connection that's active, it'll go out and bring in those new definitions immediately. And because this is free open source software, you don't get that annoying, your subscription has expired. Or, you know, and sometimes you get it on machines of Norton Symantec antivirus that the subscription has not expired, but it'll tell you it has anyway. So it's updating its virus definitions right now. That's what that little spinning wheel is doing up there. And of course, the first time it always takes a little bit longer. While it's doing that, I'm going to click on Preferences. And then with Preferences, you can set so that with the schedule, you can have it so that it automatically, on a schedule, updates itself, automatically scans folders on a schedule. Because again, we forget. You know, if we have to rely on our memory to do this stuff, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So you have both an update and a scan menu that you can do. You got to authenticate first. You know, this is the main thing that it takes getting. Oops, sorry. Takes getting used to in Mac OS 10 that we have to keep authenticating. We got very used to in Mac OS 9 to being able to just hello.
There we go.
It was busy doing its downloads, I think. Okay. Do a force quit. I've got 2 copies running. That's bad.
Now you still got 2
Now you got
copies.
two copies again.
You double clicked on the,
Quit.
Down in the dock. you could-
Here we go. Quit. Okay, now let's try it again. Apple Shift A, Clam XAV. Choose what to scan. Macintosh hard drive, users, open. Preferences. You have a folder sentry. This is very similar to the watch folder in Symantec or McAfee, where you can say, this is my download folder. Anything I put in there, I want you to scan it immediately. So that's the folder sentry function of ClamAV. The schedule function, which I won't set up because I learned my lesson. Internet. On this one, it's when you launch ClamXAV, what do you want it to do? And I'll set it to check for a new version, check for a new version of the engine, and update the virus definitions. If you're on a dial-up, you don't want to set that to automatically do that. You want to do it only when you manually tell it to. And tell it to start, tell it to stop.
Oh,
Okay, but that's ClamXAV. Okay, what was the next question? Dan?
I have a question. I recently got access to an older machine, 5300C, SCSI interface. It's got 755 and I'm trying to upgrade it because it says it'll go all the way up to 9. What's interesting is when I've used an OS 10 machine that has SCSI, I've got one of the SCSI adapter, this SCSI mode adapter cables. Basically plugs in here, plugs into the back of the machine, basically turns that into a hard drive. It shows up on my desktop like 8 times.
You want to go into the preferences for that and set what the SCSI ID for that laptop is supposed to
be. Each one has
be.
the same SCSI ID, but there's a different identifier that is different from each one. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
What it means is you don't have termination. Okay.
SCSI is witchcraft.
There's a special, you've got the HDI cable, you know, the little square.
1 to a 4.
Right. There's a special cable that you use to turn that into a...
Right, and it actually has a little SCSI mode on-off switch.
Okay. Okay, so you're not using Apple, you're using third party. Okay. I'm guessing what's happening is that on-off switch isn't working right because the physical difference between the regular SCSI HDI cable and the PowerBook HDI cable is 1 pin is missing. Okay. I got extra cables. If you want one, I'll give you one. Okay.
I also have a shelf or two I can dig.
And then you can see if I'm right or not, and if I'm not right, you
Yeah,
can
it was
tell me.
really, really weird because, like I said, I'm trying to upgrade it. And
But typically, you get that sort of thing when a SCSI indicator, a SCSI setting is not determinate. Okay, it's indeterminate, so it doesn't know what SCSI ID it is, so it gives them all, 0 through 7.
Like I said, they were all listed as the same SCSI ID number, like 2, but there was a second identifier number, like a sub-identifier, that randomized.
Yeah.
And it was weird trying to say, okay.
So it's trying to do logical units, and it doesn't have what it needs to do logical
I'm
units.
basically, I'll dig around and see if I can find some more cables.
Yeah, but I got some. If you want one, I got it.
Okay, because in theory, that should go up to OS 9.
You should be able to take it up to 904. I don't think you can take it up to 9.1.
That's the other issue I'm having.
Plus, the other thing is you might want to think about this. Do you really want to take it up to 9? Because it's going to be really slow.
Well, one of the things I want to do, it came with a Global Village card,
Okay.
sans dongles.
Okay.
So it would be much good.
You mean the Clydes that come out,
The
where
little
it
dongle
comes
pieces,
out
the
and it's
little
got
cable
one for an Ethernet and one for a phone. I got dongles too.
Oh, we'll talk afterwards.
Okay. Hey, more stuff out of the basement. I got to make room for all the Apple II stuff now. Setting it up. Setting it up.
I'm still looking for a floppy.
I got floppies.
See that what?
I got floppies. I got duo discs. I got the Apple IIc is set up. The 2 Plus, the 2E. The Apple III, I dumpstered. It just wasn't going to work anymore, so that got dumpstered. But okay. Send me an email. What you're doing next weekend? We'll see if we can maybe.
Well, next weekend we have one of our members. He's going to talk about AppleScript, and
Okay.
then I think either he or I will talk a little bit about Automator, talk about the
Okay.
differences and basically the evolution.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll come out to one of your meetings and drag all this stuff with and say here. Okay. In any case, we had another question though. Chuck.
I have a flatbed scanner that, when I do preferences in 10, I get this multiple entry.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seems to work okay. At 9, I don't get that multiple entry with, when I do the normal what's on the bus type stuff. You're saying the cables could be
Well, in
bad or
this
terminated?
particular instance, where you're talking about you're switching operating systems.
Under 9, everything was okay under the, where you look and see what all your
Like
drives
SCSI
are.
Probe, you're using SCSI Probe
The
to see
normal
what the
Mac program.
setups are.
Profiler?
Yeah, profiler.
Okay.
But in 9, it all looks okay and everything's in there, but when I do it under 10, I do get multiple cases for this one particular flatbed scanner. Everything seems to work okay.
Okay. And
But,
it's going into the built-in SCSI interface or into a card?
Built-in SCSI.
Built-in SCSI.
Is it terminated with 6?
Terminated. There's 4 devices on the extra bus.
But is the scanner number 6? Because usually scanners default to 6 on SCSI, right?
Yeah.
They should be.
They're fussy about being.
I'd set up a different address. It's not
You,
6.
you might want to put it on 6
On the
and make
back
sure
of
it's the
it.
last thing on your chain. Because scanners are typically the slowest of the SCSI devices.
I know it's not the last one on the chain because one of the other disk drives on the chain has a termination on it. I don't have the cables to turn it back around. And it also has the wider SCSI port, which
Your
comes out of my,
scanner should have a terminator on it, shouldn't it?
Depends
the
on.
last disk drive, the zip disk drive has a terminator.
I need more
Set it on
information.
auto. Can you set it, is there an auto set on your zip drive for termination?
Probably so.
On, off, and auto?
Ooh, something else I thought about. In 10, your software for the scanner, it may have a different setting for that scanner than the software in Mac OS 9. Because some of the scanner programs will actually override what the scanner ID is with the one it has in software.
Now, I've only got, software in the, on the 10 side is all stock 10.2. There's no extra drivers been put in for that product. I'm using ViewScan to use it.
And what does ViewScan say the SCSI ID is?
It works fine with it. Doesn't seem to have a multiple devices or anything else on it.
It sounds like you don't have proper termination.
I'd definitely try it with 6.
Yeah.
6, because almost every scanner, SCSI scanners always require 6. And then if you set your zip drive on auto, it'll automatically terminate.
Yeah, I think, because there's only one cable going into the jazz drive.
If you need a terminator, I've got several of them, SCSI terminator. Is it just the old style SCSI, the kind of the round?
I've got one of those.
Is that the kind of
The
SCSI?
jazz drive has the
Has the
small.
HD SCSI.
Okay. What you need to do, Chuck, is what you did for me that time with the hard drive. Take a picture of it, email it to Bill. And that way he'll know what kind of terminator you need. And if you don't have, if it's something really strange, send the picture to me too, and we'll have a race to see who gets a terminator to you first. Yes, sir.
A question on an application. I've let it go for a long time because it wasn't really biggie, but I wanted to ask it. I'm using Entourage, which is Microsoft Office for Mac, for my mail system, Entourage, because it's
Okay.
the closest thing to Outlook, which I used to use 3 years ago
Yep.
before I became an Apple geek. So now what happens is when I'm printing to a Hewlett-Packard all-in-one scanner, faxer, printer, copier thing, whenever I try to print an email, it just goes, takes such a fine granulation that it takes, 20 minutes to print out the email. So when I've had to print out emails in the last year, basically I've been just copying the email, putting it into Word document, and you know how a Word document, it'll just go right through the printer pretty quick. Print it right out, it's just a few lines, you know. It comes out real quick. Why does my Entourage mail, when I click print on an email, take just very fine scans as if it's doing a photograph, like I'm doing a high-resolution photograph copy or something?
Does this behavior persist? I know it was doing that before, when you were over at my house and we upgraded a bunch of your stuff.
Yeah.
Is it still doing it now that we upgraded you to the latest version of
Yeah,
Entourage
that
and
hasn't-
Office?
That's been doing that ever since I started having problems
Okay.
with the upgrades, and as you know, our upgrade didn't work, even though we spent a lot of time on it, and I appreciate all your help.
Upgrade worked, but
original
your printer drivers are still problematic.
printer driver.
Are still problematic.
So what do I need to do?
Is it an Epson?
It's an HP.
Check, see if you got the latest ones, but also check your page setup and your print preferences.
You mean like the firmware? for
No,
it?
no, just go out to HP's and see if they've got a newer
A new driver.
driver for that version of software.
Step one, go out to the HP site, download the latest Mac OS 10 drivers for your all-in-one, okay? Step two, install those drivers, even if they're the same ones, reinstall them. Because part of what the problem was with your machine was that we had these very strange permissions on your library folders and that, and the frameworks. So the same thing that prevented the updates from working correctly may have also messed up when your printer drivers were installed.
I see. Okay.
So, again, I think it may be a permissions problem.
Yeah.
And I'd still like to, if we can, not this weekend, but maybe next weekend, I'd still like a second pass at that to see if I can get it to.
Well, it was interesting that we
Except
thought
we gotta
had-
do it at your house because I gotta have the printer to,
Right.
yeah.
Right. We thought it was solved because it wasn't giving the problem that when I tried to update before to 10.4.5, 4 and 5,
Yes.
it gave the different indication with it where you had to shut it off because it came up with that dark screen with the infamous "you got to shut down" dialog box, and which I was looking for when we made the upgrade at your place. And so, since we didn't get that bad dialog box, hey, we're home free. But when I got back home, I realized the first characteristics I got way back at 10.4.3, where .dmg would not open, and couldn't use the printer right, and every time it went to sleep and I tried to type in my password to wake it up, it wouldn't let me type in the password. So it's the original characteristics that I very first encountered that are happening now, after we did the last upgrade.
I'd like a second pass at it.
Okay. Thank you.
This is something that's very important in terms of troubleshooting, a basic concept, and that is the customer describes a problem to you. Okay, you want to avoid mission creep, so you put your blinders on and you focus in on that problem and you solve that problem. But you're not really done, even though you've resolved that problem. You have to test the other things
Right.
that are connected to the computer, the printers, the scanners, the other peripherals, to make sure that they're working correctly. Because sometimes when you fix the one problem, okay, the procedure used to fix it may not fix other problems that are also present. So while it's important to try and avoid mission creep, you still have to do due diligence on all the other stuff that's on the machine. That's why this is complicated and it takes a while.
One other thing, this may be simple, but check your print settings, that it's not set on glossy or, high quality or whatever, because sometimes it may have grabbed that preference from something else you were printing in real high
Well,
quality.
when I was doing high quality photographs, I do use that.
Right, but
Bill?
that may have,
Just check under
Yeah.
printer preferences.
no, when you go to print,
Print?
select print, and then you'll get a print window up.
Okay, let's say you've got Entourage running, okay?
Yep.
Dun, 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 dun. Now, this is not set up, so don't freak. Just, go with the flow here. Okay, let's pretend it's configured.
Select your sample.
Go to Entourage, and then go to File, and go to Page Setup. And just check and see what it is set up to be.
Well, it looks just like that.
Now, you have more than one printer?
So typically, I would set it up for specifically what printer, page attributes, and I'd click OK, then I'd come back in,
Go back to page.
and when I go to print, I gotta have something
Yeah,
selected.
select it.
Yeah, file, then I go to print. When it comes up, I would double check what my settings are in copy and pages, layout, paper handling, image quality.
Are you clicking on the print icon button that's up on the
No,
Entourage?
no, I always
No.
use file,
Okay.
drag and drop down to print. That's the way I always do my print.
You know, just check to make sure it's not set on glossy, you know.
Right, I'll check that. Thank you.
And of course, I'm getting a
Yeah.
delete job. Okay. All right, we're getting up to 11 o'clock. We got a little bit of time since we don't have the novice clinic this month. You know, we'll be a little more flexible. We had some other questions. Yes.
I just want to make one quick statement. I was helping a member of ours about a month ago who just purchased a new laptop about 3-4 months ago. And they were doing some iMovie, iDVD in 5. They said it had a DVD burner on it. His wife had ordered it from Apple. Just because a computer can play a DVD doesn't mean it can burn one. It has to have the super drive that burns DVDs. He thought that he could burn and he couldn't.
And so he's bringing up a very important point. Just because you can read a CD doesn't mean that you can create CDs using that drive. And the same thing applies with just because you can read a CD and burn a CD and read a DVD, you know, play movies on it, doesn't mean that you can create a DVD, burn one. And that's why that little function that's built into the Mac with the more info button, where it's a shortcut to take you to a program called System Profiler. And it's slightly different interface depending on which version of Mac OS 10. But when you come down here to, let's see, where do I want? ATA.
Disk burning.
Okay, I've got two things on the ATA bus. The first one, which is what I'm up here, is a Matsushita CDRW. So CDRW, that means it can read and write CDs. Okay. And the one below it is the hard drive. So you can sort of get a feel for what it will do or what it won't do.
Click disk burning, Bill.
So I can burn CDs with this. I can read DVDs.
Click disk burning, Bill.
Disk burning? Okay,
Where's
where-
disk
oh,
Fourth one
Fourth
down.
one down.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Thank you.
Fifth
I
one
didn't
down.
see that in
There
there.
you go. That tells you exactly what you can do.
Okay.
Where does it say?
Now that's a new thing I hadn't seen.
That's on
Reads
Tiger.
DVD. It says it reads DVD?
Yeah.
Combo drive.
CD right minus R.
Cache
minus R.
reads DVDs, yes. CD write, yeah.
And if you have a DVD burner, it will say DVD write, and it'll tell you what it will write.
So that's how you can tell what the capabilities actually are. And this will also show it for peripherals that are attached and powered up when you run this. There was another thing that somebody showed me the other day in FontBook in Tiger, where it will actually diagnose fonts and fix them, which it didn't used to do in Panther.
Kind of like what Font Doctor used to do.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of stuff. I'm still, you know, I want to make sure people understand. I am not the source of all wisdom about Macintosh. I learn as much from you folks as you learn from me. In fact, sometimes I learn more from you than I do from you. Okay. Anybody else? Think we helped us nail this month? Okay. Why don't we take a short 5-minute break and then we'll come back here and we'll do email and maybe we'll even do some configuration if we have enough time. Order. Boy, they're fast. Wow. Did you see that? They were in their
Since there
seats.
was order to begin with.
Mr. Howe has handed me a whole bunch of Mac Addict CDs. They're free for anybody who wants to take them. Mac Addict is a printed publication, and they bundle with it a CD every month. And if you have,
I
this
think
looks-
there's some 9s and 10 software
Yeah.
stuff on them.
whole bunch of different stuff. If you're interested, grab it, take it. And if you find you don't like it, bring it back, not next month or the month after, but the next meeting, and somebody else can have it.
All summer.
Okay. Presentation today is Email 101, Electronic Mail Basics. Okay, everybody with me? Okay. Now, we're going to do this sort of a structured free format. All right, so it's going to, feel free to jump in, and I'll try and manage how we handle questions in that. One other thing, I'm having a little bit of problem talking. I've got some congestion stuff going on, so if I start coughing, just deal with it. Okay. This is who I am. This is my work email. That's my home email. You need to get a hold of me. Grab one of that. And by the way, I already have this presentation up on the Macintosh, our user group website, so it's in the presentations folder already. I haven't put it up as a PDF yet. I got to do that later on today. Okay, what will we cover? What do I need to do email? Types of email services, essential email settings, and email parts best practices. As I said, alluded to before, originally I was going to do a presentation on POP and IMAP. POP is Post Office Protocol. IMAP is Internet Message Addressing Protocol. I was going to focus more on what you do to set up an email server. After I spoke with my mother-in-law, she convinced me that people don't set up email servers. Normal people don't. So I should focus more on some of the things that real people need to know.
She's a smart woman.
Yeah, why don't you invite her to the meeting?
Martha's down in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
She needs one of the footed canes to walk, so she's having some mobility problems. But I had to go down there Thursday to take care of some problems, computer-related and others, install a can opener, a few other things. And then I came back Friday. So if this is not as polished as it normally is, it's because I was sort of doing it on the fly. Oh, I'll tell you something I've learned. A concept called time boxing. If you set in your head a time frame, it's like I have a presentation to do, I have to create a presentation, 2 hours, that's what I'm going to spend on it, and then when at the end of 2 hours you're done. Whatever you got, you're done. You get a hell of a lot more done in your life. Avoiding that whole perfection thing. Okay, moving right along. What do I need to do email? You need a computer. You need an internet connection. You don't necessarily have to pay for it. It can be one of these internet connections at a Schlotsky Deli or a Panera Bread or whatever. Just an internet connection. You need to have an email account. Okay, so you have to have made arrangements with an email provider for an account. Some of those providers are free. And you need some sort of email application. Some way of getting to that email server and pulling the mail in or looking at the mail. So those are the 4 things you need. Now, let's talk about types of email services. Okay. You have proprietary ISP email servers. This would be the classic model of America Online, where you use their program. It connects to their server, whether it's via broadband or via dial-up, and their program gives you access to your email. Their program gives you access to the internet for browsing purposes. Okay? Other companies that also have proprietary products would be Earthlink and NetZero. Okay? So think of these as being, this is the type of service, and these are the programs that they provide you to connect to their server. Then you have another type of email server, what's called open mail servers. And they use either Post Office Protocol or they use Internet Message addressing protocol. With those types of servers, you can use what are called third client email applications. Programs such as Eudora, Entourage, Thunderbird, Apple's Mail client, Netscape Communicator, which is one of these combination things. It's both a mail client and an internet browser. Yes, sir?
Clarification. On the first one, you said proprietary. You made the inference that, let's say if you have Earthlink, that you have to use their software for mail. You don't have to do that.
Okay. These are types of services, but a company may be providing access to their email servers by both a proprietary format, an open email format, or a web email format.
Right.
Okay? So you're anticipating where I was going.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that people didn't think, well, if they had Earthlink, they could only use
I hear
Earthlink
what you're
software or
saying.
AOL.
So let's do the third type now. Web email servers. Here, the program that you use to connect and look at your mail and to send mail, receive mail, are browsers, internet browsers, such as Firefox, Opera, Safari, or Internet Explorer. Okay. Now, the point that Mr. Georges was making is, let's take, for example, America Online. To connect to America Online, I can use the America Online program, either in Mac OS 9 or Mac OS 10, or I can use Eudora, Entourage, or Thunderbird, and in that case, instead of connecting to the proprietary AOL server, I'm connecting to the AOL HOP server or IMAP server. Okay? Just sort of let your head sort of wrap around this stuff, and then we'll do some clarification. Or, if I want to get to my AOL mail, I can fire up a web browser and go to www.aol.com, click on Mail, log in, and be able to look at my email that way. So the point that Mark was making is that just because it's a proprietary ISP, they may be providing access to that mail not just with their proprietary program, but also with third client email programs or a web interface. Now there's advantages and disadvantages to all of these. Okay, let's say for example it's a proprietary ISP. What are the things that you have to know to be able to access it? Okay, now these are information you need to know. If it's a proprietary ISP program, you need to have their mail program. Okay, you got to be able to run it on your machine. You have to know your email name, and you have to know your email password. So, example would be, I've just fired up CompuServe on my Apple II. Okay, CompuServe. No, I still have one running, and I got a 2400 baud modem that sort of connects. Anyway, it knows where it's supposed to go. It dials up the phone number it's supposed to dial. It handles all of the connection to their server, and since their server goes, oh, it's our program, it does the connection. And then the two pieces of information I have to put in is I have to tell it what my email name is. So I dial, type in Herrick House, and then it's going to prompt me for what my password is. Okay, so that's relatively simple. You just have to know what program to fire up. It does all the connection stuff, and then you log in as, with what account you want to log in on. Okay, proprietary ISP essentials. Okay, now, open mail servers. Open email servers, now you have to be configuring some additional information in there. Example would be if you're using Outlook, or Outlook Express, or Eudora, or Entourage. You would create in that program, and there'd be a help menu that would, wizard usually to walk you through. It's going to prompt you for what kind of open mail client you want to create. And there's two main flavors that are out there now, POP and IMAP. The difference between POP and IMAP, very simply, is with a POP email account, when you log in and you say you want your mail, that mail gets sent down to your local computer and then is deleted off of the server. So it only resides on your local machine. With IMAP, the files stay up on the server, but you have access to them. So the main reason why people are moving to IMAP is because they're accessing their email from multiple computers. And they want one location where they can get to their email. Instead of having to say, oh, I read that message from my mother-in-law, which computer was I on when I downloaded that? Because then you'd have to actually go onto that machine. Yes?
Is it possible to take an IMAP account and configure it for POP?
It depends on what services your mail people provide.
Okay.
Okay? What I've learned to do is go to the particular service, whether it's SBC Global, Yahoo, Earthlink, AOL, whatever, and go into their email settings configuration. If they provide POP mail, they'll have a help thing on how to set up their POP mail. If they've got IMAP, how to set up their IMAP.
I would be thinking that it should be possible to get, even if it's an IMAP account, to do a POP account, but not necessarily to go from a POP account to an IMAP account.
POP is the older protocol. Almost everyone does POP. It's a question of, do they also do IMAP?
Yeah, because IMAP requires storage, and therefore
Correct.
POP does not.
Correct.
Can't you configure to leave mail on a POP server
Yeah,
for a
you
certain amount of time?
can.
Because
You can.
I pop my mail at work, then go home and pop the same mail at home.
You can,
So,
but that is not what POP mail is meant. That's not how POP is supposed to work. Okay? Yes, you can configure it that way, but that's not typically how it is configured.
What will happen is, if you do that and you go to another computer, like a month later, you're gonna download every bit of email, it's all gonna come pouring in.
well, that hasn't been downloaded at that particular computer.
If you're on the
and
same computer, it won't download it a second time, it'll
Right.
just keep it there. But if you go to another computer, it'll suck it all off.
But
of you.
Earthlink deletes it after 2 weeks.
Well, you can set, yeah.
You can set it too.
Okay. Anyway, let me just focus in on what information you need to know to do a POP account. Now, this is assuming that the server, the email service, does do POP, and that's almost always true. You need to know the POP server name. Now, with these things, it's not always the same sort of syntax, so you actually have to look on their webpage and see what they call their POP server. For SBC Global, that's your DSL, SBC, AT&T, whoever the hell they are this week. Their POP server would be pop.sbcglobal.yahoo.com. Okay, that's what it is today. It does change on occasion as they make and break their commercial arrangements. The other thing you have to configure is the SMTP server name. SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Okay. This server is for you to talk to them. This server is for them to talk to other email servers.
That's the
So
server
think
that's
of
used.
this is the in coming into you, and this is the out when you send messages out. You send it to them, and then they send it out to other servers. Both have to be configured correctly. And the other pieces of information you need is your email name and your password to be able to access it. Okay, now let me just move forward to IMAP, and then I'll talk about why you might want to use an IMAP or a POP account in place of a web account or a proprietary account. Okay, for IMAP, you have to configure the name for the IMAP server, the name for the SMTP server, your email name, and your password. You don't have to keep the password in there. You can have it where it always prompts you for the password. That's always a personal choice. It's a security issue. Okay, but the thing is you need those 4 pieces of information. Okay, Let me just do web, and then we'll talk about advantages and disadvantages. Then you have your web emails. Okay, there you got to know 3 pieces of information: the name, the URL, the internet address, whatever you want to call it, for the web server. So in this case, it'd be www.sbc.yahoo.com. So you fire up your web browser and type that in. It takes you to their web page. Then you would click, log in, and you would give them your name, you would give them your password. And it then gives you access to your email. Now, advantages and disadvantages. With a proprietary ISP email server, where you're using their thing, this is for, I don't want to say brain dead people, but if you just don't want to have to deal with any sort of complexity, an ISP proprietary client is the way to go. You launch the program, it automatically connects. You've already selected which account it's going to select to, and then you just put in your password. All right. The disadvantage, they don't seem to update these things the way they used to. So you're working with old software, and you're working with proprietary formats which are not very robust. Typically, if you're working with an old CompuServe client or an AOL client, you're going to get that spinning pizza wheel, or you're going to get these lockups on a regular basis, because this is the old method and they're not updated. With open email servers, whether it's POP or IMAP, the main advantage is if you have multiple mail accounts on multiple mail services. Example, you've got a Hotmail account that you use as your junk email address. You're on a website. In order to be able to download something, you have to give them an email address, and then all this commercial, unsolicited email is going to be going to that account. You have a Hotmail account, and that's your junk account that you hand out to people, and it gets spammed and you don't care, because that isn't the account you give to the people who send you your real email. You might have an account on AOL that's leftover legacy account. You might have an account on SBC Global. You might have an email account at work. Okay? You might have an email account at school. So I have Entourage set up on my main machine at home, where I have accounts set up for my AOL Roman account, my Sinclair Community College account, my email account at work, my email account through a professional organization that I belong to, and then there's another one, I forget what, it's my junk mail account, my Hotmail account. That's the junk account. What it means, though, is that when I have an internet connection and I fire up Entourage, I don't have to log into each individual mail server. Entourage does that automatically for me, and I've got one application, one view, if you will, to look at all my email.
Does that pull in the ones on a web?
Yes. If that web mail service has either POP or IMAP as a possibility, and all of the major ones do. Yahoo, Google, MSN, Hotmail. I'm trying to think of what the other main one is.
Gmail.
Gmail is Google.
Do you have to pay for each individual account?
No. It depends on the company. If it's AOL, you're paying a fee, a subscription fee, for access to it, unless it's one of their free IM accounts. With Google, Yahoo, and MSN, those are still free accounts. My SBC account is my DSL provider, so that one is an account where I'm paying for it. Yes,
One thing
Dan?
about Google is you can't just walk up to Google, you can't just go to Google and sign up for their account. It's still in public beta, so you have to be invited by a previous member.
Okay.
So you're already in the
Okay, I did not know that.
So you can pop mail from Yahoo?
Yes. And you can pop mail from SBC Global Yahoo. And you can IMAP from SBC Global. Okay. Yes.
Bill, you haven't mentioned .Mac.
.Mac,
Yeah.
pop and IMAP.
Is that, but don't you use?
The default is a pop account on
I
IMAP.
think .Mac is the default IMAP.
Hmm?
I think .Mac is the default IMAP.
IMAP? Let me think for a second. Yeah, you're right, it's IMAP because it stays on the server.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, the advantage is, okay, if you have these things configured and you're doing IMAP services, or you have POP where it doesn't download to you. If you're at a cyber cafe, you're traveling, you don't have a laptop with you, you go into a cyber cafe or you borrow somebody else's machine, you log in, the email stays on the server, doesn't come on the local machine, so you don't have to worry about confidentiality of emails getting on somebody else's computer. Okay. Same advantage that you get when you're using just web services. If you're just using web-based email, that email stays on the server when you're doing a web access. The disadvantage of web versus one of these open mail accounts is that with a web browser, you only can be on one of these web pages at a time. And you could have multiple windows open, but that tends to be a little clumsy in terms of accessing. You want to make sure that when you're doing a web email that you do log out before you close that browser down. Okay. If you're using a dedicated email client, when you quit, it logs out. Okay. Yes, Tim?
Where do you get Eudora, Outlook, and those, Outlook's part of Microsoft Office?
Outlook is, if we're talking about Outlook for PC, it's part of the standard operating system deployment. If you're talking about on the Mac, Outlook Express is a standard part of the operating, is deployed with the operating system. Mac OS 9 it was.
Yeah.
Mac OS 10, you want either going to use Entourage, which is within Microsoft Office, or you're going to use the Apple Mail application. Okay. While the Apple Mail application in Panther is adequate, I wouldn't really use it unless I was running Tiger, because they really cleaned it up.
So I've got multiple addresses on the mail account, but if I wanted to bring in my Yahoo junk mail one, mail will do that also?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And Entourage will also do it for you?
Yes, Entourage will do it and does a very nice job of handling your contacts and your address books also.
How does it bring in this other, like, I haven't done what you just suggested, establish a junk mail account like Yahoo or Hotmail. How do you get that to come into Entourage?
Okay, well, let me find it here. What you'll typically find, and let me try this one. See, I'm still using AOL, so let's see. That's not the one I wanted. Typically, because you have a different setup for each one of these services, okay, a different set of things to do, what I do when I need to configure one of these things is I do a Google search, and I'll put in the name of the application, like Entourage, and then I'll put in the name of the service, like SBC Global, or Earthlink, or whatever, and I'll typically come up with one of these, let me zoom in here, one of these setup pages. So this one is how to set up SBC Yahoo Mail in Entourage.
Oh, you got it on Google.
Yeah. You'll find these help pages on like for SBC Yahoo, it'll be on their webpage in the help. If I wanted to configure Entourage for AOL, I'd be looking on AOL in the help. If I wanted to configure it for Entourage with Earthlink, I'd go to the Earthlink website and search for Entourage. How do we set it up? And they'll have a walkthrough for you. If you're using Eudora, you do the same thing. Now remember, each one of these email applications is going to have a different setup on how their preferences work and how you create email accounts. But in terms of the metaphor, what you're going to end up with, let's see if I still got it running here. Recent items, Entourage. The metaphor will be pretty much the same that you see in Entourage, where over on this side, in here, you'll have a different major line for each one of your email accounts, and then when you click to open it, it'll show you the inbox for that one, the junk mail for that one, the drafts for that one, the sent items for that one, etc. But the thing to keep in mind is this mail doesn't exist on your local machine, it's on the server. So you've got one program talking to several email servers at the same time. Let's go with Bill Warden.
If you've got both Entourage and the Apple server on your computer, what's the advantage of using one over the other?
Whichever one is you're most comfortable with.
So they both do exactly the same?
Because of the things that I need to do, I want to be able to look at my calendar and my contacts while I'm looking at my email. I prefer Entourage. You can do that with Apple's mail application, but for your calendaring, you're using iCal. For your contacts, you're using the address book. It's integrated, but not in the same way that they did it in Entourage.
Brings
Yes.
to my question, is there any way to synchronize the mail files or the address files so that they all are the same? So that you don't, if you're not in Apple Soft or Apple Mail, it's a different list of people that you can contact versus the, say, Entourage.
Okay, you're talking about the address books?
Address book.
The only way I've been able to easily migrate address book data from one service to another and get it is if I'm on a PC. Because almost all the tools that they provide are PC-based. I can sort of work around with it if I bring it in as V-cards and then punk it into now up-to-date, now contact, or
Yeah,
plunk it
there's
in the other.
no way to go from one to the other easily.
Not easily, because they don't want you to be moving to somebody else's mail server easily. Okay, that's why I still run AOL, because I have contacts and things in AOL that I have just not gotten around to putting into the other address book. Okay. Typically, what I find though is if you're doing a web access to the email server, they'll have wizards where you can upload or download text files to the address book, and that's a way to move stuff around. Okay? Okay. Yes,
I
Rob?
understand you can set up an account with Yahoo to get email?
Correct.
Is there a charge to that, or?
The regular Yahoo account, there is no charge to it.
Meaning, when you say regular?
Right. Yahoo has several business arrangements with providers of high-speed internet access. So they use their email servers for SBC, the telephone company. Okay, so SBC has a business partnership with Yahoo. If you have an SBC Yahoo email account, that's not free. It's covered under the cost of your DSL connection.
Okay.
But if I just go to Yahoo,
Use Safari.
well, I prefer not to use Safari with web-based. So let me see if I got Firefox floating here. Okay, here we go. and I'm just going to type into my Google search, Yahoo. And just, there are other search engines, it's just that sometimes it's just simpler to use Google. Okay, so I've got, let me sit here for a minute. I'm now on the Yahoo portal. And if I click here where it says My Mail, okay, and let's say I don't have a Yahoo ID. I'd look where it says Don't Have a Yahoo ID, Sign Up. And then I would click and I would give them some information. Typically they want to know some other email address that you have. You give them that information, and in terms of acceptance you agree to that, and then you have a free account. Now the free account is limited compared to the one that they charge for, what they call premium services. Okay? But for most people, the free account is more than adequate for what you need.
Yahoo free accounts do limit you to webmailing. You can't download.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't download.
So you can't-
They don't do POP or IMAP. You have to pay.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
Actually, I think you're wrong, because I know somebody who has a free Yahoo account, and they also have an SBC Yahoo account. No, wait, you're right, because they migrated their free account to the SBC Yahoo account, and that's why they're able to
Rumor
look.
is there are some plugins and hacks that people come up with, like for their mail app, so that it figures out a way to check it, but I've never gotten those to work.
Which one can we use then free just to set up a junk email account? Like Hotmail then, or what?
Hotmail will also charge you.
Hotmail charges, deposit?
Whatever you're most comfortable with.
Don't some of the, I use Cisco, okay? Don't they offer multiple email accounts? Don't a lot of them offer? Please?
Yeah, but George, okay, you work for Georgia Tech, right? And you have an email account there.
Right.
And you have your own email account for home use, right? Well, if you want to check them both at the same time,
Yeah, I do that all the time.
okay, you would use something like Entourage or Eudora.
But I'm talking about, what if I want to have a junk mail account
Mm-hmm.
to hand out to people who I don't really want to get email from? I think Syscom will allow me to have, I haven't done it, will allow me to have a second email address.
Typically, if it's a paid mail service,
Yeah.
I know with AOL you can have up to 7 accounts.
Right.
Okay, 1 is a master account and 6 subsidiary accounts. But SBC Global, I think it's 10. Okay, again, the way I use it is I have an account that's personal, I have an account that's personal but business. My wife has a personal account, she has another account that's personal business. My children have accounts.
.Mac lets you set up alias accounts.
Yeah, alias accounts. But again, how do you manage all this? Do you want to be logging into AOL and then using a web browser to get into Yahoo and then another one to get into SBC? And no, you want to simplify it, make it easy so you've got sort of a command central where you can look at all this stuff. And that's the advantage of setting up in a third-party email client these POP or IMAP accounts. Because it gives you a way of looking at all of this stuff, one picture, and you're looking at all the stuff.
But again, to reiterate, if my email client, is that the word client, offers multiple accounts, I can just set up a Hotmail account
That is correct.
and
Well, it wouldn't be a Hotmail account.
No,
It
it
would be a Syscom
would just be a
account.
regular account
Yeah.
that you
Different
use as your
username.
throwaway email.
Right.
The one thing to keep in mind, though, is you want to make sure it's not the master account.
Right.
Because the master account is the one that's permanent. These subsidiary accounts can be deleted, and you can create a new one then.
Yeah.
If it's your master account that you're handing out to all the spams, then you're pretty much stuck, because the master account, you have to actually close out the entire arrangement you have with that email server and then recreate a new one.
Okay, good point.
Now, if you have an account, or like Earthlink will allow you 5 accounts. you're going to share resources, are you not? In other words, if the Earthlink says you're gonna get 10 megs of storage, and you got 5 accounts, each one may be getting only
It
2 meg
varies
apiece.
depending
Yeah.
on the internet service provider.
So that may be one of the disadvantages of,
Correct. Correct. Some services like AOL, there's a set amount of storage per subsidiary account. It's smaller than the main account. Earthlink, I believe, it's a total amount of storage space and it splits it up.
We ran into that problem when we first got Roadrunner. So someone went back to college, he was using the college email, he wasn't looking at Roadrunner. And they kept saying, delete, you have too much, not enough room, delete your mail. We deleted everything and still said it. Finally, we called in and said, hey, look, you better check your Roadrunner. We did, and you have umpteen, you have to delete them all, because it only holds so much.
But again, see, if he had configured one mail client to look at all the different mail accounts, yeah. It's because we're human, and we're fallible, and we forget, and we get busy, that you want to try and configure things so that you're preventing yourself from tripping over your own feet. Yes, Al?
The way you get that junk mail email account just occurred with all this peripheral discussion here. Having Earthlink, I had 2 email accounts on it already, one for me, one for the wife. I can call Earthlink up and get a 3rd address, which then I can use to hand out to all these people who think they've got to have your email address when you go to them on the website.
Actually, what you can do is log into the Earthlink website, log in under your main account, and you can create right then and there. You don't have to call them up. You can do it yourself. Create that subsidiary account.
Can,
Yeah.
Earthlink. Okay, now my
Because
question
the
is.
problem is, if you call them up, sometimes they think you want another paid account separate from the one you already have.
Right, well, you'll make that clear with words, but my question is, what I was getting to was, once I do that, I get the 3rd account for junk, how do I, like right now, my 2nd email address only goes to my wife's machine, my 1st one only comes to my machine. If I get a 3rd one for junk, how do I get the junk to come to my machine as opposed to my wife's machine?
set it up.
Set up as
Yeah.
an account.
Just set it up with-
You use Entourage,
Yes.
correctly?
Yes.
In Entourage, let me escape out of the presentation here. In Entourage, where is Entourage? Hello, Entourage. Recent items. Entourage. In Entourage, I would go into Tools, if I remember correctly. Nope, wrong. File,
No, it's tools.
new,
You go to tools and
Email
account.
new email account. Okay, and at this point, I would then go through a process of creating a new email account in Entourage. It gets complicated. You need to go out to, it's Earthlink you use?
Yes.
Go to Earthlink, do a search on their website for Entourage, and they'll have a little help thing that has all of the things that you
Well, it'll
put
be
in.
the same as his other Earthlink account, except for the email address.
Yeah.
Right.
But the thing is, typically, you set up an email account, and then 2-3 years later, you don't remember what you did. And they may have
Yeah,
changed
but if you go
stuff.
into tools and accounts, you can select his current account, and it'll show all the
Right.
SMTP and the POP.
But this isn't gonna work here because I don't have anything
Right.
set up on this
Right,
one.
right.
Yeah.
Now, is that right?
But that's the way you do it.
No,
with
it's part of-
tools, and then what?
So then you would end up with, just so you understand, then you would end up with, you'd have Elton Hopper, you'd have, what's your wife's name?
Sandy.
Sandy Hopper.
That does the same design.
Okay, and then you'd have the junk email account. And they would each have their own inbox, outbox, draft, sent items.
Well, I've got it, I don't get Sandy's because
Well,
Sandy's only
yeah.
goes to her machine.
Yeah,
And then what I was trying to get, how do you make the 3rd one come just to my machine?
yeah. You configure your Entourage on your machine to go out to that 3rd account.
You need to point out with IMAP accounts that sometimes you need to reconfigure the server or tell the server, because these mail messages add up, they don't leave.
Yeah.
How's the best way to deal with faxes?
Faxes? Okay, so you want to fax something to someone?
You set up an eFax account.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways to do faxes. What I find is usually the best on a Mac, now this is gonna sound very heretical, but I buy a cheap fax machine, I hook it up to a phone line, okay, and then when I need to send a fax, I pump, and I put it in. If it's electronic stuff I've already got, I have my main machine at home is connected to a phone line, a modem and a phone line, and I just do a fax from within Mac OS 10.
System preferences.
Yeah.
It's under print fax.
System preferences, print and fax. It'll be slightly different in Panther than it is in Tiger. And you click on the faxing tab. And then you put in what your fax number is supposed to be. And then you set up the fax modem, show fax status in menu bar, and then when you want to fax something, you go to your print menu and you print to fax, and it then asks you for the phone number and it sends it.
There's no way to deal with faxes on cable, is that right?
Sure. No, not through an internet connection. No.
Yeah.
It's got to be a modem.
If you're going to do
Well, there's a program
faxes,
called eFax.
if you're going to do faxes over the internet, okay, there are free fax servers. Now remember, since it's free, reliability may not be everything you would want. But there are free fax servers on the internet where you email the message to the fax server and part of the heading is the phone number it's supposed to go to. They then send it over the internet to their nearest fax server local to that number, and then it does it out from there. And then there are commercial services.
Does it come back to you as an email, or?
You get an email back that says, yeah, they sent it, you know. There are also commercial services where, for a set fee, you send them the email and what number, phone number it's supposed to go to, and they then fax it out.
They also will give you a phone number if you're paying for it, a fax number. So if somebody wants to fax you something,
Yeah.
it gets faxed to that number, and then it creates an email and sends it to you.
Yeah. In concept, it's very similar to the voice over IP stuff that's happening now with Skype and Gizmo Project, where it's a way of connecting computers to the plain old telephone system, what's called POTS.
If there's a 3-year commercial broadcast fax server,
Correct. There are several out there.
which is the best?
I prefer JFax myself.
JFax?
Yeah, I think they're still in business. JFax, this is from when I was doing research on this at the newspaper several years ago. Rather than put in our own fax server or replace the fax server we had, I gave them a cost benefit, and there was this company called JFax. They could just send the email to them, give the list of 300 phone numbers that it has to be faxed to, and they'd handle it.
J-A-Y?
It was just the letter J, fax. But again, I don't know if they're still in business or not. What I would do is just do a Google for email and fax.
You
And
can
see
find
what comes.
multiple commercial, but I want to find somebody that knows which is the best.
We've been using eFax for ever since it came out.
eFax?
Yeah, it's great. You know,
And how many, I mean, I'm looking for something that could handle maybe 500 faxes.
They're enterprise quality.
Fax, they don't handle it.
If the Democratic National Committee uses eFax for their, when they have to fax stuff out to all the newspapers,
Is that a subscription or is that
Yeah.
a free service?
No, that's
it's a pay.
Why the use of the fax when you just send something as a PDF?
I don't know. I have not, there are
If you're
just
in a
people.
hotel and you gotta send files back and forth and you don't have a computer.
Hey, I only stop at hotels that have got wireless.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't, some people don't have a computer and they need to fax something from a hotel and
Yeah.
receive one.
Yeah, there are many small businesses.
In a PDF,
The whole thing
It's
is,
dumb, but yes, that's right.
okay. We're already up at 12 o'clock. I need to poll you for a minute. Can I have an extra 10 minutes to just the last 4 items? Okay.
Bill, before you do that, can I ask you one quick question?
Sure.
Maybe somebody here has it. Skype. I have Skype, but I don't know how it's downloaded and everything, but I don't know what instrument I have to get to plug in to talk.
Usually headset.
You have a shaving mirror iMac. It has a built-in microphone.
Right.
You don't need to have anything else. You just tell it to use that built-in microphone and you just talk while you're,
Oh, I don't need headphones?
that's right. And not unless you want them. Okay?
You want to make it a private conversation?
Okay. Email in 4 parts. This is the part where we talk about best practices. Okay? Emails have 4 parts. They have an address, they have an attachment typically, a subject line, and then body text. And let's see, I want to be in presentation mode. Here we go. Okay. Email address anatomy. Something to be aware of. Typically, the general format is going to be name, and then an @ sign, and then the company organization code, and then the country code. So for example, a U.S. email address, kurtstacy@gmail.com. Okay, in this case, U.S. is implied. If you're inside a country and you send an email, the email servers will assume that you mean for the email to go to something within that domain, that country domain. Here's another one, cstacy@plum.lib.il.us. Okay, in this case, the country is explicitly stated. Examples of non-US email addresses, linda@yahoo.com.de.
Denmark.
Germany.
Yeah, Deutsche.
Oh, that's it.
Linda@yahoo.com UK. Linda@yahoo.ru. That'd be Russia. Okay. Not Russia, Ohio. Russia. Okay. The reason why it's important to know this is sometimes you get emails and you go, wait a minute, this is a sort of funny email. I don't quite understand what's going here. Look and see what country it's coming from.
They can spoof that though, right?
They can spoof it, but in a lot of cases they don't bother.
Okay.
Okay? But if it's coming from the Eastern Bloc, and you don't know anyone in the Eastern Bloc, it's almost certainly going to be spam. Okay, another thing, addressing your email. Common problem that people run into is they don't check the email address when they send it out. Okay, you're typing it in, you know, you got a period in the wrong place, you got a comma instead of a period. If you're going to manually put in an email address, check it before you press the send button. Or use an electronic address book instead. In other words, save the email address with the person's name in that, and you always take it from the address book. In that case, you avoid the whole problem of being Mr. Fumblefingers. Another thing, use a CC, carbon copy. Actually, they're now referring to it as courtesy copy, because people don't remember what carbon paper is. Or a BCC, blind carbon copy. When I send out the meeting announcements, I always send it out, everybody is addressed. Okay, that's because those email addresses of members is not considered to be proprietary. You're a member, you're allowed to see all the other email addresses of the other members. But if you're sending something other than that, and these other people may or may not need to have access to those, instead of doing it with everybody as a standard address, you use a BCC, a blind carbon copy. So in other words, the recipient only sees that it was sent to them, it doesn't see who else it was sent to. Okay, it makes for a much neater looking email.
Now you type in or go to the address book for every member when you do that?
No, you got it as a group.
As a group ship.
Well, you take,
What I do is, Mr. Kurtner sends me an update of email addresses every month. Okay, I then copy and paste those in. And then I update my address book.
so you have a group.
I have a group, correct. I have a group that I use.
What's the difference between carbon copy and blind copy?
Carbon copy, the people who are carbon get to see who else was carboned. Blind carbon copy, the recipient only sees their address, they don't see the other people that it was sent to.
And they see that they are a blind copy.
Correct.
So they
Okay.
know there's others.
Addresses are automatically entered when replying to messages. That's something that happens all the time. Somebody replies to a message and it doesn't come back, you know, it says no such addressee. That's almost a sure sign that it's a bogus spoofed address, the original sender of the message. Okay, so when they sent you that message, they did some special stuff to make that message look like it came from somebody else. Okay. All right, next thing, attachments. This is a nightmare for a lot of people. Before attaching a document, consider, can your reader's email system accommodate the attachment? In other words, you're sending a ISO CD image, 640 meg, and the person is on dial-up. Okay.
Good luck.
That's grounds for...
Okay. The other thing is, it's a 640 meg attachment. They're on a Yahoo free account and they only have 10 meg of storage space. Okay, you just deactivated their account for all intents and purposes because you just filled it. Okay, so you want to be aware of what kind of what your audience is going to have in terms of what they can accommodate. The other thing is, if you send attachments to people at businesses, sometimes some businesses are set up so that they're not allowed to have attachments. So they never see it. It gets stripped off as, you know, being a virus file. Okay, so that's something else to be aware of if you're sending attachments. You want to make sure that you compress extremely large files, or you take, if you have several attachments, that you compress it into one archive first, a zip file or a stuffit file, so that it's one file that's attached as opposed to several. And last but not least, attach first, then write. I can't tell you how many times I haven't followed that rule. I've written this message, I thought I attached, and I sent it off, and they go, what attachment? It works much better if you, new message, address it to the person, attach the file, then write your body copy. Yes, yes, Dan?
Couple of things. We will often list in the body of the text the attachments, the names of them. That way, if the system gives cute in strips, the recipient knows the attachments have been stripped off. The other thing, even if we're going to compress it, if it's something big, we will shatter it and maybe make each chapter a separate attachment. So you wind up getting a small blizzard of messages. And say nothing more than chapter 1, that's attached, chapter 2, that's attached. That'll get through the various firewalls, etc.
Okay, all good practices. Another very important thing, writing good subject lines. Okay, this is where I see, you get that email and there is no subject. And you go like, okay, I don't recognize the email address, there's no subject on it, I don't know what the hell this thing is. Okay. Or you get something like, well, let me just roll through it. The subject line should be clear, concise, and descriptive. You should consider your audience. You know, if you're sending to someone who's a German speaker, don't give them an English subject line, give them auf Deutsch. If they're Spanish, you give them in Spanish. And avoid spam subject lines. Okay, if you use the word stock, Viagra, enhance, I mean, these things are just not going to make it through spam filters. So even though you properly addressed it and sent it, it's just not going to go through. Rolex. Reply. Okay. So here's some, what I consider less than adequate names for subject lines and good ones. Bad. Tickets. Okay. It's like, okay, tickets? What kind of tickets? A good one would be Our Lyric Opera tickets. Okay. A bad one, request. Okay, as opposed to request for parts number. Meeting, as opposed to meeting 9 a.m. Tuesday, room 6. In a lot of cases, what you want to communicate to the person can go just on the subject line. And they save so much time by, they're going through and they're going, oh, email from Elton, hey, our meeting, bump, 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 in the subject line. Very easy to quickly take care of the emails.
Otherwise, they'd ignore me.
I had him on, I had him
Not
set
gonna
up
go
on,
there, Elton.
he's on my spam list.
Okay. In any case, if you can take care of those things, addressing your email, make sure they're properly addressed, make sure that you're careful with your attachments, clear, concise, descriptive subject lines, and body text, which is to the point. Don't carbon, carbons, where you're forwarding emails and it's, it ends up being the Bible. Especially if the new part of the message is all the way at the bottom and they have to scroll through 200 pages of previous replies.
And especially if you get an email with an attachment, sometimes when you forward it, the attachment doesn't go with it.
Yeah. So, keeping those things in mind, you'll have a much better email experience.